Ah, perfect. Just the person I need to see. Firstly, loving the outfit, by the way. Really suits your hair. Secondly, the universe is falling apart. I don't have much time to yet. I need to shoot off. I need to do something. But by all means, this is imperative. Watch Type 40. The Type 40 podcast is where you need to be. Seguida!
Oh, phew, what a scorcher, everybody, what a scorcher. It's time for Type 40 Live, materialising again here at last with the live stream Doctor Who magazine show all across your view screen in real time on Rumble, X, YouTube and on Facebook too, all in front of a live chat, a very, very, very sweaty, I would imagine, friends, fans and companions just like you. Yes, this is where the week in the Whoniverse starts. If you've missed it, well, all of us, might have caught it, and it works both ways too. Maybe you've seen something scandalous, stupendous, or simply spectacular, and it's hit your geek spot. Tell us all about it. It's just between us and whoever's watching and listening across the Whoniverse here at Type 40 Live. Hey, I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. Happy Monday. How have you been? What a weekend. Hey, all those podcasts in my ears. I'm surprised I could hear. I've got tinnitus or something like that. Yeah, so it was Doctor Who Podcast Day the other day. Still coming down from that. Lots of fun to be had. And thank you, everybody who joined in on that special edition of the podcast and the live stream. We'll come to that again later on. So blowing away a bit of dust here and, kicking out a few squatters. What are you... Oh, come on. Check this out. Maybe if I waft something wet in their general direction, wet and fishy, I don't know. God, that sounded awful. Simon, bail me out of that.
I'm not sure it's again on that one, Dan. That's just all. I'm just... Lenny's not... He's in the building, but he's in another room. And he's probably just as well, given the photo, because he would be going berserk by now if he saw cats. He's... As you can imagine, he's not a big fan of cats. He would definitely go for those if given half a chance.
The bad news is I don't know their names.
No, I mean, they're bound to be something stupid like Paws and Tom or something ridiculous like that.
Maybe Tom and Liz.
Tom and Liz, now that would be fun, actually. Tom and Liz would be clever.
Let us know what you think in the live chat there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. What should the names of the two cats that are living in the TARDIS console there? What should they be called? We're drawing a bit of a blank, but we do have a third coming on. So she is an animal lover. I think she's more fond of dogs, but I think she does cats as well. Let's find out. Shah, what do you make? What do you think? What do you think?
I realised I was on mute. I am fond of dogs when Molly's not playing up. You won't hear her howling, hopefully, tonight, because she's just gone out for a little walk. So she's okay. She's all fine. I think those cats should be called Delta and Bannermen in your honour, Dan.
Hey, very good. Very good.
I approve heartily of this message. Yes, so go on then. How's your weekend been? Good? Been doing a lot of geeking and rambling, or anything else that you can't speak of?
rocking and rolling, ducking and diving. No, it's been fine.
Yeah.
I've actually made my way up to the coast this
Ooh.
weekend, and
Show
I've
off.
also I went to Norfolk. I love Norfolk so much, so I went there with the dog. Just had a lovely little time there, and then I discovered, when you have those little hidden gems in your area that you have no idea of, despite Leicester being right smack bang in the middle of the Midlands, there is a coastline-ish that I never knew about before, and it is beautiful. So it's a huge man-made river that I didn't even know they did it about 100 years ago. There's actually a very old city underneath this lake that is housed there. Oh, Simon, it's so at your street.
It sounds like a Doctor Who plot, this does.
Doesn't it? Well, get your writing socks on. If you ever find yourself to the east of the Midlands, my lovely, then definitely come and I'll show you. You would love it.
What has happened to us? We've got cats, we've got sensible, we've got stories about the British countryside.
What's happened?
Yeah, not binge drinking and.
This is a perfect time for you to put a flashback of me doing a bottle of prosecco on one of these streams. I think from a very long time ago.
It does tend to go to that. Of course, yeah, there is always time to go to the pub, but the snog is taken. These three. They take up quite a lot of room, so I'm told. So whilst they're doing that, we can bring in our special guest on this edition of the show, where we're happy to welcome at long last. I think he's wetting his whistle before we bring him on. So yeah,
Careful.
This man, he's an artist, he's a designer, he is a pillar of the fandom community. Would you say that's fair to say, Simon?
100%, absolutely, for reasons that will become very, very apparent over the next hour or so.
And there are people in the live chat there already that are buzzing, waiting to ask him questions. So yes, I'm happy to welcome to Type 40 Live for the very first time, Mr. Andrew-Mark Thompson. Hi, Andrew.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, mother?
We can hear you fine, Andy. We can hear you fine. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on at last.
Yes, it's good to be here.
We've been talking about this for a long, long time, so we finally get you on, which is excellent.
Far too long. I get the feeling you probably forgot completely about me, and I posted something over the weekend, and you thought,
no,
it's him.
No. The truth is, Andy, we were trying to avoid you. We were trying to not get you on, and we just hoped that you'd forgotten about it yourself. That was what it was. But you came knocking on the door anyway, and there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, I'm desperate for publicity.
So even though we've met a couple of times, Andy, I still went and did a little bit of research, and I was interested by the fact that you describe yourself as a 50-something-year-old former teenager from Derby in the UK. So that's very vague, isn't it? Do you want?
No, that's completely wrong. I'm a 60-year-old teenager.
Oh, bless you. So your Wikipedia entry is already out of date.
That's it, yeah. I'm now entitled to 10% off at Iceland on a Tuesday. Right.
Living the dream.
I should point out the checkout lady was already giving it to me.
That's so annoying. That's so annoying when that happens.
Over 60, so, you know.
Oh. Don't you just hate it when you go into the checkout? You must hate this, and you don't get this when you go into the checkout to buy a bottle of wine, and they don't even look at you when you're at the self-service checkout, and it bleeps to say you need some assistance, and they just walk up and they just zap it. They don't even look at you because they know you're over age.
I
It's gutting.
I get stopped now when I buy a U certificate DVD. So you're too old for that.
You've come round the other way, haven't you?
Full circle, yeah.
Second childhood, Andy. Second childhood. Yeah, so people will definitely know your name, I feel, from the various arty exploits that you've gone on over the last, I'd say 10, probably over 15 years now, and recognise your style, won't they?
It probably started, actually. I mean, the first thing I remember doing sort of, well, I use the term faking up. So I don't do stuff to sort of fool people. It's to amuse. The things are supposed to be so silly that it's blatantly obvious they're fake. But the first thing I did was during the 50th anniversary. So that was 11 years.
11.
Yeah. And
I did. That? Oh wow.
Yeah.
I did a few, 5-6 products that were released in the 60s that didn't exist. And there was a thing like William Hartnell's Book of Space, the the Fury from the Deep on Super 8. Things like that. Or the Radio Times first anniversary special. Stuff like that.
Silly
Silly,
stuff.
sort of silly things. But it sort of, I then started a blog, put them on the blog, and I felt I needed to put a few more things. But it just started carrying on, as it were, from that, and it just built up.
You seem to me,
stop you, but they couldn't.
you do seem to me, Andy, like you're just one of life's naughty boys, and that's very much the frame of mind that we put the show together in as well.
Well, no, I don't do stuff to fool people. I've said it. I've said it before. And what's the word I'm looking for? It's just to amuse.
Yeah.
As it were.
Prestige. To tickle people.
Go back a few years now. Go back to the first thing that really took off was it wasn't a Doctor Who ad. It was an advert for a sapphire and steel ice lolly.
Yeah.
And I
remember
did
that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I did the ad, made it look like a walls. There's a certain style to
Yes.
how they used to advertise ice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Ice cream vans. And I did this, and it amusingly had Joanna Lumley saying it's blue raspberry water ice on a stainless.
I remember it.
Right, and David McCallum was saying, "I don't believe it." Oh, there it is. I don't trust it. That's it. That went viral on the course of a Saturday morning, and I was getting a lot of messages. It was public on Facebook. People were joining in with it, saying things like, "Oh, I remember this. I remember this ice lolly."
Which, of course, they don't at all.
It was like I was creating my own Mandela effect. People were insisting that this was genuine, but the thing is, if you look at it, I don't think there's enough on there to say it's silly enough, except for the stainless steel stick, which, if you look closely at it, it's not actually a stick; it's a knife.
Apparently, you fooled Joanna Lumley with this. She was convinced it was real, that it had happened, and that she'd had one.
It ended up. She did a tour, a sort of evening with Joanna Lumley, and a mate of mine saw her at Bristol or somewhere, and in her brochure, there's all these. It's like collages of all the stuff she's done, and there is my advert for an ice lolly.
No way.
Now I managed to get in touch. I mean, the company that actually made the brochure, luckily had their email address in the brochure, so I emailed them. They put me onto the designer. Right, he came back to me and said, "I'll just check with Joanna." Right, and she came back and said, "Oh, Joanna thought it was hilarious." Right, she was a bit suspicious about it, but she thought it was very funny. Right, the fact that there was an ice lolly, but it turns out there wasn't an ice lolly, So I was worried.
You're confused.
I was worried in case she'd be onto her agent saying,
"She'd be onto the solicitor."
You confused and confounded a national treasure. That's not bad work for a Saturday morning.
Yes.
I'm not sure we can ever forgive you for that, actually, to be honest. It's confounding Joanna Lumley.
This is the problem. You put stuff on the internet, right? You can't take it off.
No. Once it's out
We've
there,
noticed.
it's out there.
The Joanna Lumley situation probably happened about 3-4 years after the original post. But
Wow.
We know this only too well.
That's the only one of my designs which regularly gets counterfeited, or whatever you call it, ends up on T-shirts and fridge magnets, without me knowing. But
I've seen that. I assumed it was you. I assumed that was you marketing and monetizing your artwork.
It's funny you should say that. I've only just recently had some postcards of that design printed, and I've signed every one in black marker pen just to prove that it is a fake. An original.
You're right. This is a fake over it. You should have done.
No, I've just written. Just write my name. I don't want to be too. I don't. It's an old joke, that is.
It's a very, very old joke.
Like a Doctor Who Banksy. Love it.
Yeah.
Go
why
on.
my book is called "This Is a Fake"?
Well, I assumed it was a reference to this.
I could not we could not think of anything else to call it. I was all in favour of not giving it a name, just having my name on the front of it, saying this is a book,
okay,
and just leaving it blank.
But that you struggle to get that past the marketing department at Tell Us Books.
Yeah, I think so. But This Is a Fake was just the first thing we came up with,
Yeah, but it's perfect. It works so well. I mean, look at that. Who doesn't want a book called This Is a Fake?
Let's have a close look there. What Simon's holding up there. Simon is modelling that beautiful hardback tome there from Tell Us Books by Andrew-Mark Thompson.
Yeah. And if you can just about make out there, you can see, this is what the thing that I love on that is look at the spot varnish. You can just about see the spot varnish catching the light there. And this is one of the things I love about the cover of this book. You've just got that little bit of spot varnish. There you go. Look at that. It's just
fabulous touch.
A lovely matte cover, but the spot varnish and on the back as well. It's just beautifully designed book. Beautifully designed book.
Design.
So with this willingness, Andy, to just to tickle people and to amuse in the way that you do you find that your sense of humour is so distinctive? Do you find that when you meet people who've seen your artwork or other Doctor Who fans, when they meet you, do they expect you to be constantly sort of cracking jokes and sort of pulling bunches of flowers from behind their ears and things like that? Be a bit of a clown.
When they meet me, they're more disturbed by me. I
can't imagine why.
I'm not the most gregarious of people. I suffered from. I don't like crowds. I don't like sort of enclosed spaces and stuff like that. So I'm not the sort of person who enjoys sitting in front of a crowd, entertaining them. I'd rather sit with 2 or 3 or 4 people chatting away.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to Doctor Who conventions in the 80s, in the early 80s, starting then, right? And I found myself gravitating towards the bar all the time rather than sitting in the
same
thing.
There's a good reason for that for you.
You're a guy after my own heart.
I realised I enjoyed this more because I spent 2 hours in the bar, sat enraptured by Michael Wisher, the original Davros.
Oh, lovely man.
Acting. And it was just, that to me is a convention highlight, things like that.
Well, fortunately for you, if you're not so much of a mixer and you don't like loads of crowds and spaces, we have been and we've done all the research for you this weekend. If you wonder what's been going on in the rest of the world, Andy, you've come to the right place. This is what's been trending over the weekend. And although it's been quiet for Doctor Who, there is stuff that's been sort of kicking off. Well, I say kicking off, more like winding down. So yes, stars of sport, screen and music all rushed together to close the Paris Olympics yesterday. I think this was the closing ceremony to the 33rd Olympic Games. Now, of course, I'm a proper geek, so I don't do sport, but I thought this was worth hovering on a little, Simon, because not only does it tie into the title of Andy's book, but of course, Doctor Who does have this connection with Paris, doesn't it? With Gay Paris.
Does it? I'm not sure. Is there a story? Oh, yes, of course there's a story.
This is the Tom Baker fan.
Of course,
He's a fake fan.
It's one of the best. City of Death. Let's not forget, what was it, about 16 million or something ridiculous from episode 3. Yeah, of course, City of Death, beautifully set in Paris with This Is a Fake. That's the legend that still resonates down through the years. One of the best. You must have seen this one, Shah. Surely you've seen City of Death by now.
I have, and that was a very lovely save, may I just say, Simon. Is it?
I was being silly.
No one noticed.
I was being silly. I'm sure people know.
Yeah, right. Okay.
To us as Doctor Who fans, Shah, City of Death is still the most epic thing that's ever happened in Paris. But have you caught any of the Olympics this year?
No, I don't know how I've missed things, but I've just... I mean, I watched a couple of the running, the running ones.
You're not selling it to us, Shah.
The running ones, you know about as much as we do.
I don't sell anything.
Yeah, I think the answer you're looking for, Shah, is no. No, you haven't.
But I did watch a couple. I watched the swimming as well because I liked the swimming. But London 2012 just did it so good. I don't think anything's ever going to beat it.
They tried. Great Britain did quite well. We finished 7th in the medal table. We got 14 golds, 22 silvers, and 29 bronze.
Wow.
So that's quite a decent tally. It just beats the amount of medals that were brought home by the British team at Tokyo 4 years ago, wasn't it? No, 4 years ago. It was the pandemic one, wasn't it? So yeah, we're up. Yes. We're one medal up, and it closed with this explosive finale there. I mean, check this all out. Heaven knows what's going on. A pyrotechnic nightmare, and the sailing down from the ceiling of this bloke. Quite why Tom Cruise was doing this, I've got no idea. He abseiled down from the roof of the stadium, waved a load of flags around, and apparently he then got on a motorbike and rode off.
Yeah, the reason being, Dan, because the next Olympics is in LA, and so they're passing the torch onto LA. That's the idea. So he's from Hollywood, Stacey. That's the idea.
See, this is very extravagant, Andy. I mean, maybe Steve Hatcher could do this at the end of the next Hooverville. You know, you could lower him down from the ceiling, maybe, and he could sort of ride around on a motorbike for a while. And
I'm sorry, I was comatose. You were talking about sport, and I've got no interest.
He's a proper geek. He's a
you
proper
are
geek.
a true geek, sir. Welcome here.
I thought this was a Doctor Who podcast. I'm sorry.
Turn it into Bagpuss.
Only when absolutely necessary. Look, there is a reason why I wanted to talk a little bit about the Olympic ceremony. It's because as well as Tom Cruise doing his thing, whatever this thing was, there was also the sight of this. So I thought this was really peculiar. And, you know, we're used to peculiar things coming out of this Olympics in particular. But this, it rang a bell with me, Simon. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It's some sort of performance art routine. Mm-hmm. And after about 10 minutes, I realised where I think I've seen it before, and it's the underwater man. It is, isn't it?
Well, it's clearly inspired by, but they are sadly lacking the mouth and the eyes, aren't they? That truly make the fish people.
Yeah, I think the jury's out. I'd like to think this is a tribute to 1960s Doctor Who, Andy.
No, I'm looking at it now. And today I've been cutting out the bogey monster thing from Space Babies. I've got a really nice clear picture of it, and I've been cutting it out for something. And it's that. Yes. It's the bogey monster.
Oh, could be.
I can't remember it. I'd love to say yes, it is.
I can see what you're saying. Well, maybe actually, you know what it is, Andy? I think this that we're looking at is actually the love child of the bogey monster and the fish people. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an image I won't be able to get out of my head.
I think you will find the fish people died out in 1975 when the Atlantis was destroyed, whereas the bogeyman is from the far future.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's not going to work, is it? That's a feat of reproduction every which way but loose, both in space and in time.
And I want to know where Bagpuss fits into all this anyway.
Maybe we'll. Yes, so
it's
those
one
the
big Bagpuss. I have a Bagpuss that's this big. Your Bagpuss is far more impressive than mine, Andy. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely huge. Yeah, it's formidable, I think is the word. Formidable.
Do you have an Emily Doll as well? No, actually, let's not go near whether you have an Emily Doll as well.
No, I've got a wig with pigtails that I wear and a flannel dress. I stand up.
So you are Emily in another life. Yeah,
yes,
quite right.
Of course, yeah, Tom Baker and Lalla Ward here on the streets of Paris, laughing and joking. This must have been during the good times before things went a little bit pear-shaped for them. But the Mona Lisa, yes, the Mona Lisa in Doctor Who has featured quite heavily in City of Death. This was one of my earliest ever childhood memories. I knew I was watching Doctor Who, and this image of all those Mona Lisas, Simon, this really stayed with me.
Well, absolutely. It stayed with me as well. I still just remember I didn't understand, truth be told, a word of City of Death as how old was I? About 9 years old at the time, 10 years old.
It's a fast story.
At all. Didn't understand all the multiple Mona Lisas, but I didn't care. Somehow it just carried me along because I just loved the conceit. I can still remember Tom just sort of pushing gently the doors open and all those Mona Lisas being behind it. It was just like such a what moment. As I didn't understand it, but the way it's directed so beautifully, whether you know what the significance is or not, you know it's significant and it's weird and you should be paying attention. And City of Death just absolutely lodged in my brain.
legendary part of the story. Of course, the Mona Lisa is probably the most famous piece of art in the entire world. I'd say that's a fair comment. Half portrait by Leonardo da Vinci. It's an archetypal piece of the Italian Renaissance, I suppose. It's hung in the Louvre in Paris since 1804. I have researched that. I didn't know that off the top of my head. But it's easily the most famous and most expensive painting in the world. Can you estimate what its current value would be now in dollars, Simon? Any ideas?
Dollars?
I'm going to guess at $5 million. That's my guess.
$5 million. What do you think, Shah?
Oh, me, sorry. I'm going to go out there. I think it might be worth a lot more, but I might be completely wrong. 34.5 million.
34.5 million for the Mona Lisa. Would you make of this one, Andy?
Well, this is the thing. You can't put money on art. It's
they have
priceless.
I won't buy it.
You could
neither.
insure it. You could insure it, right? But what would you need to replace it if it was stolen or destroyed? What would you expect the insurance company to give you to replace it?
As I understand it, what they do with insurance is they could kind of take the value of what it's worth and double it simply because that would be you can't replace it kind of thing. Do you want to hazard a guess at what it's worth?
No, what is it?
Go for it, Dan.
It's believe it or not, it is estimated to be worth $860 million today, the Mona Lisa. $860 million.
Oh, my
Pay that for that.
I was ever so slightly off, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah, only by a few $100 million, but so was I.
Yeah, so-
I mean,
About $860 million.
So David Tennant would have to work for a whole 8 months to be able to afford that.
Wow.
Oh, God, 8 months, that's a long old slog, that.
well, I've been reading the papers today that apparently Shooter Gatwa is now worth nearly $2 million. So he's on the way to it. He's definitely on the way to affording it.
He's getting there. Of course, the Mona Lisa has featured in the Doctor Who universe before. The painting sort of came to life in the Sarah Jane Adventures. This was all the way back in season 3, which was in 2009, wasn't it? Saran Jones, the Coronation Street actress, played the Mona Lisa there, where she turned into a sort of gun-toting baddie who was trying to get her brother out of prison. Did you ever watch this one, Shah?
No.
I did. Didn't work for me.
Did it not? I've only watched a few Sarah Jane Adventures. I really need to get through it because the ones I've watched are very, very good. Going from Simon's review, though, probably not this one. I love Saran Jones in pretty much everything she does, though. So I will watch it. I do usually watch it if they've got a good cameo. For example, City of Death has John Cleese doing a little cameo, doesn't it? So one of the reasons I wanted to watch it. So yeah, 860 million?
$million.
Yeah, that's right.
There's not that much money in the world.
You'd think she'd look a bit happier about it, wouldn't you? Yeah, you would.
She doesn't even
you
look
would.
happy in the painting, does she? To be fair, so.
No. What a load of old nonsense. Let's go and make contact with reality, shall we? With our friends there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. They've been dropping some comments for us already. Let's go and see what they've got to say about all of this nonsense.
Hi guys, and welcome to Type 40.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. There's more still coming in as we speak. Lord Thoth was the first one in with a hi, everyone there. Happy to have you back, Lord Thoth. David Mullen was not far behind, says, I'm trying to work out what this latest instalment is all about. Well, all is sort of almost revealed. We've got this gentleman, and he's going to be talking about his artwork and his book. Everything else is process. We're gonna pump it out of him one way or another. Stephen Braddock is there as well. Shah, with a hello to you. Hello, MVP. Shah.
MVP, that's what I'm saying.
What does MVP stand for?
I think most valuable player, but I'll take it. It's a compliment nonetheless.
Well, I don't know where that leaves the rest of us.
We'll put you down as a fan then, Stephen. Yeah, good stuff. Good to have you back. Adrian James is in too and says, evening everyone, Andy. So that's to you as well.
Me.
Got one from Mark Milford who says, thank you, Dan. Well, thank you for being here. Stephen Braddock and Tom from T Dwarf Productions says, hi everyone, thank you so much for liking my photo. Please let me know what you want me to make next. Oh, we'll be in touch, Tom. We'll be in touch.
Don't know how you
back.
find this time, Tom.
Clever boy.
The Thistle Beaks simply says hello. Obviously drained by the heat out there. Just like Nicholas Horton, who says it's been a scorcher today. Definitely has. We've got Corbin here. Is it really?
Yeah, 31. Well, hottest of the year, yeah, so far.
We've got Corbin in the live chat as well. Andy, who says, hello all. I remember Andrew Sapphire and Steel ice cream. So, yeah, everybody loves this, it would seem. He says he loves it. And
Corbin was. I saw this. Corbin was loving the "I don't trust it" that Steel comes out, because that's what he says in every single episode of Sapphire and Steel. Brilliant.
Don't trust it.
I don't trust it at all. None of it.
Adrian James also remembers the Incredible Hulk ice cream lollies. Were they bright green by any chance?
Of course they were green.
Rob Alexander, he's running late, but he's happy to be here nonetheless. Take your time, Rob. And we've got Sam in the live chat too, who says, I love the Olympics. Does that mean I'm not a proper geek? Well, the jury's out, Sam, but you can stay anyway. Happy to have you with us. Hope you had a good time with the Olympics.
Sam, don't you worry.
Yes, Tom, we love your Olympic work as well.
Yeah.
Matthew Butterfield says, sorry I'm late, Dan. I've been on GB News. You've been watching the proper telly rather than us. Oh, Matthew.
Yeah, rude indeed.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. And Rob Alexander, yes, he's obviously a Bagpuss fan as well. Does no one care about Bagpuss, he asks.
Well, Andy definitely cares about Bagpuss.
Yeah, we do.
That's my family as well. We've got an old Bagpuss.
Everybody should care about Bagpuss. Look at that face.
Ian Diaz is in the live chat as well. He's just got back from work and I'm melting. Ian, we miss you, mate. Come back soon, but hope it's all going well. And we've got people doing temperature checks as well in various parts of Britain that they are currently in. So, yeah, if you want to talk about food, you want to talk about your pets, you want to talk about the weather, it's all fine here in the live chat across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X at Type 40 Live. So keep it coming as we get stuck in to yet more of this stuff. So, yes, one eye on the calendar, of course, as we're in mid-August already. I don't know where the time has gone. Now, Andy, you talked a little bit earlier on about your artistic eye and the things that you see and the feelings you like to promote in people, how you like to amuse people. But are you a merchandise collector yourself?
No.
It's just not your thing.
Next question.
No, I'm not. I used to be, but nowadays, as long as I've got little bits here and there, I think Doctor
knickknacks.
Who's the only thing I've got a complete DVD set of. I've got a complete set of Target books.
Have you? Is it your original set of Target books, Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate you. I got rid of all of mine.
They are all first editions,
with
the exception of the Daleks, the first Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Yeah. The paperback, you mean, or the hardback?
The two Doctors. Do you remember the two Doctors?
I do. Going up the middle.
They were all second editions that were released over here, weren't they?
Have you not got a first edition?
No.
Mine's a second as well. I've never seen a first edition.
Although I have got the hardback of the two Doctors.
Oh, okay then.
I've also got the other one. I've got is the Three Doctors. I didn't get the first edition of that. I've got one, but it's a second printing. But they're all first editions, including the Wheel in Space.
Oh, that one's worth a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, that's my pension.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
At this rate.
Yeah, it took me a very long time to find that.
I mean, this shows you how long I've been in fandom. I mean, the Highlanders, I've got it in hardback, and it's signed by Michael Craze.
Wow.
And what was the other one? Jacqueline Hill signed my Marco Polo hardback.
Oh,
wow.
And for some bizarre reason, Adrian Hill signed it as well.
Well, why not? Better to have it than not have it, even if it's in the wrong book.
But anyway, that's me boasting about the rare stuff that I've got. I like odd things. I like odd things. I've got scripts and stuff like that, original scripts and things, but they're just sort
odd
of,
things and knickknacks and curiosities. But if you have a complete set of the DVDs, this next item is just for you. And maybe you've got it already because today it's been released. So yes, this very day, Monday, the 12th of August, 2024, has seen the release of physical media of season 1 of Doctor Who. No, not 2005, series 1. Season 1 from earlier this year has just been released across all formats, with the Doctor and Ruby Sunday travelling across time and space, it says here, with adventures all the way from Regency era in England to war-torn futures. Throughout their adventures in the TARDIS, a time-travelling ship shaped like a police box, they encounter incredible friends and dangerous foes, including a terrifying bogeyman, that's your mate from earlier on, Andy, and the Doctor's most powerful enemy yet. This set includes all those episodes from season 1 and the Christmas special from 2023, The Church on Ruby Road, and a whole load of new extras too. So these are the various formats that you can get it in. And to be honest, I mean, it's nice enough artwork. I think this is relatively handsome. So you've got a DVD on the left, you've got a steelbook there in the middle, and the Blu-ray on the right. But obviously, it was only on the television 6 or 7 weeks ago, Simon. I mean, this is something that, I'm a completist too, just like Andy, but this is something that I'm going to wait until it gets discounted to pull the trigger on.
I can assure you, I will never ever be buying this. I don't care if it's a bargain basement bin. This will never enter my house. Absolutely not a chance. If anybody gave it to me as a present, it would go straight in the charity bag, I'm afraid. I never, ever want to see a microsecond of this season ever again. I've noticed, are we calling them seasons now instead of series? Have we gone back to like in classic days? That's about the only good thing to be said about it in my book. Sorry.
How do you really feel though, Simon? How do you really feel?
I will be picking this up. I will go for the Blu-ray, but not just yet, because the episodes are sort of fresh in my mind. I don't need to see them for a little while. But here's the pack shot there. It's fairly bog standard. I mean, I love the Blu-ray sets of the classic series. I think we all do. And they throw the kitchen sink at those. But these, they kind of look a little bit like The Poor Relation. We get sort of bog standard artwork we've seen everywhere else, Andy. And there's not really that much in the way of extras either. It says the 6 hours of additional material, including episodes of Doctor Who Unleashed and various bits and bobs. So I just think they could push the boat out a little. Is this something you'll be buying, or do you wait for a discount?
Well, I'm waiting for them to put some decent extras on. It says, it's 6 hours of extras. It's all stuff.
I bet they count. I assume they're probably counting commentaries in that. I don't know. Could well be.
Probably.
There's no commentaries, is there? Well, no,
I don't know. I haven't looked.
We've already had the commentaries, haven't we? There's nothing actually.
Yeah. There was in-vision commentaries recorded, I think, for most episodes, just like they did for the anniversary. So I would imagine that they'll be in this set because they were in the 60th anniversary steelbook. So there's no reason why they shouldn't be in this set.
But I'm sure that they'll include those then in the 6 hours of extras, I would have thought. But I don't know. Could be wrong.
Matthew Butterfield says, to write down, leave it for about 15 years. Now, I'll probably leave it till Christmas and wait and see which discount that there is available. Andrew James says, yes, I saw it in my local HMV today. And Doctor Who Unlurched, says Richard Brooks there. So, yeah, it's a little bit bog standard for me. It's not particularly exciting. The steelbook is prettier, I have to say, but again, I only buy steelbooks for anniversaries and things like that. They're too easily damaged, and I don't think that they're worth the hefty price increase that comes with the steelbook. So the prices on these are as follows. The DVD is $39.99, the Blu-ray is $49.99, and this steelbook that we've got on screen at the moment, that's $59.99 for just 9 episodes of Doctor Who, Simon. Just 9 episodes.
60 quid?
60 quid, yeah. That's the recommended retail.
60 quid for the steelbook?
Yeah.
60 quid? That's more than the Blu-ray collection, the classic seasons. Those are like 50 quid.
It's hard to understand how they justify the price tag.
60 quid? Mike, I think I'd rather buy the Mona Lisa.
Unless they're expecting to sell less than the Blu-ray collection of classic shows do. I mean, I suppose they must be. This is quite nice inside as well. I like it when they take moments from a season or a movie and they do something creative with them like this. But there doesn't seem to be a great amount of enthusiasm for this. I think it could have been. I think it's just too soon after it's been on television. They probably could have waited until gift buying season later in the
Christmas
year.
time, I would have thought.
I don't know. Yeah, but it is out as from today. So some people will be getting them through the post, I would imagine. We've got a comment here from Simon Anthony who says, I've got a friend who has bought almost everything Big Finish has produced and most of the BBC output. I have not. I was a completist on Big Finish until about 10 years ago in CD form, and then I switched to download, and now I really do cherry pick because it's expanded so much, but there's only so much shelf space that anybody can have, Andy. So actually your way of just getting knickknacks and things like that, it's kind of the way I'm going, just the little things that mean something to me.
Mm.
Yeah, it's sort of it's been there, done that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the 80s and 90s, that was when I was sort of filling the house with tat.
And that was me. I had the Dalek baseball hat. I don't know whether you had that, Andy. That's right up your street, actually. The Dalek baseball hat with the plunger out. I mean, it was so phallic. Seriously, it was ridiculous.
It's that sort of
Doctor
thing
Who After Dark.
Did you have the Dalek pencil case? Do you remember the old Dalek pencil case from the mid '80s?
No, it just
that was awful.
Didn't do anything. That just didn't do anything for me. They were generic things that had nothing to do with the series. You have a pencil case with the Doctor Who logo on, you know, in silver with the neon logo on and stuff. What? Yeah, it's a pencil case.
Well, in the 80s, they were just turning anything out with a logo on, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all that stuff that you've got in Doctor Who Adventures, free with it, all the stationery.
Sellotape to the front cover.
Yes, pencil case. It was just, I mean, the amount of stationery they must have created just for Doctor Who Adventures. I mean, it's probably got its own recycling bin. The amount of material that came out of that. But it was all generic stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
with stickers just slapped on.
On a rubber.
Tat is definitely the word.
I think that then you get things like the Doctor Who pizza cutter.
What? Was there one?
I have a sonic screwdriver electric toothbrush.
No, stop it.
Where is it? I want to see this now.
It's in my bathroom.
Yeah, we need to see that at some point, Dan.
The one thing that worked, because it was a great joke, was the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, did they actually make one?
Yeah, they did.
I'm looking at it now. I can go and get it and show you if you want.
Please do. Go on, we need the screwdriver.
David Mullen is standing up for Doctor Who Adventures. He says that they gave away some pretty good stuff, actually. So maybe it made David's childhood. I don't know. Richard Brooks had a money box, and there are still plenty of people who are picking themselves up from the floor at the price tag there of the Blu-ray Steelbook that's on the season 1 set. There, I don't know.
Look at that screwdriver! Wow,
ridiculous.
So how does it work?
It lights up
and everything. Yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, I can't stop. It won't switch off.
So,
serious hardware.
Screwdriver. Where's the screwdriver bit, Andy?
Hold on. You open it like that, and then secreted inside are what do you call the screwdrivery bits? Not blades.
The screwdriver bits, I think, is what they call them.
You then insert it into the main body.
Oh, it's a bit. We call those bits.
That's it.
Yeah, I know bits.
I knew that. I was about to say that. But
it isn't.
That's a technical term.
Yeah. Not white bits, just bits.
I actually want that.
I picked mine up from Debenhams after Christmas, and it was in the sale. It was only a £5.
Wow.
So, I've actually, rather than keep it in its box, mint, I've actually been using it as a screwdriver.
Good for you.
It's really nice. But this harkens back to John Pertwee's screwdriver, sonic screwdriver. The one that he had was an actual screwdriver. Did you know?
Yeah.
You take the top off it, and it's one of those ratchet screwdrivers. So my dad had one. Right, you can see it being used in Thunderbirds Are Go, the film.
Correct, you can.
It's exactly the same model. it's not a prop that ended up in Doctor Who. It's actually a model that you bought off the market, and you used to put the screw on the end there and pump it, as it were, if you pardon the expression, and it used to pull screws out, So there you go. But that's what
Fabulous.
And he put a little light on the top of it, didn't he?
I just love the irony, the fact that Andy really would have been in your book. A sonic screwdriver would have been in your book. They hadn't actually made a sonic screwdriver. I love the timey-wiminess of that.
Yeah, but there's that, and there's also they did a pizza cutter as well, didn't they? And the spork. Do you remember the?
Really?
I remember the spork. Yeah.
Sonic screwdriver spork.
In fact, I think we had a guest on. I think we had a guest a few weeks ago on the show who mentioned the spork as well. I think Chris Walker Thompson is a fan of the spork. To get a picture of that up on screen.
I mean, that you can still buy on Amazon, and blooming heck, it's still got the Matt Smith logo on it. So they must be so old.
As a child, I was always gutted that I couldn't go out and buy a sonic screwdriver of any kind. I wouldn't have minded if it was a pencil sharpener or anything like that. It's a trick that I can't believe that JNT missed. He was all over the marketing, of course. And that's just my way of getting to a place where I can remind you that today would have been John Nathan Turner's 77th birthday. Happy heavenly birthday to JNT. A couple of years ago, we threw a bit of a party for him here on this show. Do you remember that, Simon?
We did when he was 75. We did a dedicated show for JNT on what would have been his 75th birthday. Absolutely.
God, that was 2 years ago. That was
2 years ago.
We were melting again that day, weren't we? Because we were all sort of dressed in our Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah. Well, happy celestial birthday to JNT wherever you are. Have with your Hawaiian shirt, and his feet will be up, and he'll have a voddy in his one hand, and a ciggy in his other hand, and he'll be happy, man. I know he will.
Huge contribution on the show for all those years, Andy, starting out on the Space Pirates where he was a floor assistant and then gradually becoming the producer of the show in 1980. Wasn't it? No, 1979 he would have got the role after working his way up through various posts there, producing more of the series, the classic series, than anybody else, and obviously being there until the very, very end. Do you think time has been a little kinder to John Nathan Turner's legacy than it was when he was still in the role, Andy?
I think it has. The people who were kids when JNT's stuff was on have certainly grown up appreciating him more. Whereas I think at the time, I mean, I was in my late teens, early 20s at the height of JNT's reign, and there was a lot of negativity towards his show.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, one of my pet hates. I absolutely hate season 19.
Oh, really? I love 19.
Really, I think it's appallingly dull. Earthshock, you can only watch once. And then the second time you watch it, it all falls apart.
It's all right, Simon. I'll catch you if you catch me. This is heresy, man.
I'm having a fake moment. You'll just have to bear with me, folks. I'm going to have to go and have a lie down for a minute.
Earthshock is just about the Doctor running away.
I love Earthshock so much.
He defuses that bomb, and then he spends the entire other 3 episodes standing on the bridge doing nothing.
But he does it brilliantly, Andy.
No, he doesn't. It's so dreary, and then he fails at the end to rescue Adric.
Every cloud has a silver lining. So
about Eric Saywood's writing it's exactly the same as Chris Chibnall's in the fact that he writes too many frailties into the character. You have The Visitation again, which is another one with the Doctor running away. He does nothing in The Visitation except start the Great Fire of London. If you watch it, just watch The Visitation and tell me, what does the Doctor do in it?
Andy, stop it. You're ruining season 19 for me. Stop it now.
I mean, my interest in Doctor Who is I've always liked the writing, right?
Yeah.
I understand a lot about writing. I've got this thing about the shape of the way things are written.
Yeah.
I don't think it's my ASD or what. But I say the best stories are a sphere, right? And there's certain stories which are spheres, and that they are self-contained. They work beginning, middle, and end. They've got the right story beats in them and everything like that. There's certain stories that have. I always cite as an example Amy's Choice, the 11th Doctor one. That is the perfect story. It may not be the best story, but
I
from
love
a
that.
story point of view, it tells the story in the right sort of pace and everything that. And I think the problem with Eric Saywood's is that he has this imbalance of characters, in that the guest characters are always more interesting than his lead characters.
Revelation of the Daleks would be an absolute classic example.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah.
He wrote that and he script edited that, and it shows. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I love Revelation Daleks, but I totally take on board what you're saying. You're correct in what you're saying.
I tune in to watch a TV show called Doctor Who that's about the Doctor.
Yeah, fair point.
Right.
Yeah, fair point.
You have managed to generate some fellow feeling amongst our viewers here on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. So yeah, it's maybe a conversation we'll have to come back to another time. But I never really looked at it like that, because that year is so special to me personally. But there's been lots of people as well paying their respects to John Nathan Turner in the live chat as well. Happy birthday, JNT. Rest in peace, dear, says Richard Brooks. Rest in peace from Lord Thoth. And Simon Anthony says that JNT wanted me to work on all his shows. It never happened, though. But they moved you around, didn't they, Simon? They moved him around from various shows because Simon was too good. He was in too much demand there at the BBC. Yeah. That's what it was. Clearly, that's what it was. They couldn't keep hold of him. Of course, yes, John Nathan Turner really made my childhood, not just with the blockbuster, all-time classic Earthshock, Andy. But he also cast most of my Doctors. These three guys I'm talking about: Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, and Colin Baker. Three hugely important figures in my childhood, Shah.
Well, of course, and we met one of them, didn't we, last year? So that was very nice.
We very briefly met Sylvester. He was a little difficult to pin down, wasn't he? Mercurial is the word I would use.
Oh, beautiful word, yeah. But that was lovely, and do you know what? I will never stop loving Davison for writing the 5 Doctors. It still remains today something that I watch regularly.
It was great of the 3 Doctors here to play along with all of our nonsense there for Doctor Who Podcast Day last week. Thank you to all 3 gentlemen, and of course to Ken Deep for making that happen. Ken Deep, who is such an integral part of Doctor Who Podcast Day. So yeah, it just gave me such a thrill to see them all together. And standing up for Doctor Who Podcast Day for all our content creators and our listeners as well. And thank you for your support with Doctor Who Podcast Day last week too. If you go and hit the hashtags there over on X and Instagram, you can find a sea of shows. And maybe they're shows you've never heard of. Maybe they're shows you could rediscover. I don't know. But that's very much the spirit of Doctor Who Podcast Day. It is completely open. It's for absolutely everybody, and a celebration of content creation and conversation in the audio medium, because we are on video and YouTube's all very great. I love doing YouTube, I do, but there's something I find special about audio, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, our show started on audio, didn't it? Let's be honest, and
that's purely audio. Yeah.
Did it really? Wow.
Yeah, and it's really funny. I was going through some of those the other day, actually, some of the old audio ones, and I was listening to them. And it's really strange just to purely hear us now, because I can't imagine doing a podcast that was purely audio now. I just can't imagine doing it. And yet we did. That's what we
our
did.
Floating heads in my unmade bed. I'm not even going to pretend that I've made it. I'm so sorry, but
it's sort of your motif. It's your look, your desktop theme.
Do you know what? I do it every morning, because I always think I think I watched something once a million years ago. It said if you don't do anything all day, then at least you've made your bed, and I failed today. So that's that. So I do apologise for it. I was going to get a background, but I couldn't get a high resolution 3 Doctors TARDIS background, which I desperately wanted. But it's all right. We're all good.
We'll see if we can source that for you. Darren Bradley's in the live chat there on YouTube and asks, "Is that Mr. Spoon's rocket next to the TARDIS in John Nathan Turner's office?"
No, it isn't. I can see what he's looking at, and I remember it was a piece of merchandise. You can just on the right hand side, just about make out the neon Doctor Who logo there, and it was as I recall, it was an American piece of merchandise, but I can't for the life of me remember I know. I can see it says producer on. It's an award. That's what it was. I remember now. It says producer on the back. I think it was an award that he was given, the same as the gold one between JNT and the Rocket, because that's also that was also an award. And so yeah, that's what those were. But I remember the Rocket on Button Moon, of course, Darren. We've been to Button Moon. We visited Mr. Spoon, Button Moon. Sorry, carry on, Dan, as you were.
Well, on the other side, on the other side of the logo, it looks like it says producer on there. So I don't know what it is, what it does. It's another knick-knack. It's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that Andy would have, I think, in his collection. So yes, rest in peace, and all our respects and affection to the great, the late John Nathan Turner.
Yeah, go on.
That's it. It's a Saturn Award.
Yes, the gold one is the Saturn Award, though, isn't it? I don't know what the one next to it is that says producer on it. It was an award of some sort for an American convention, as I recall. I just can't remember what.
Yeah.
But you're right, it was a Saturn Award. You're quite right. Well remembered.
Let us know what you think. Maybe you were there when he was presented with it. I don't know. We'd like to know. So fill in the blanks for us there in the live chat across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Talking about the audio medium, if you want more of us, you can get us in your ears at the Type 40 home feed. That's type40.podbean.com. Our very latest episode, of course, for Doctor Who Podcast Day. That was Type 40 Go to Mount Who. So myself, Simon, Sarah, and Charlotte, we all made that trek, didn't we, to Mount Who, and made our choices to our selections of Doctor Who personalities to etch into the rock face there at Mount Rushmore and rededicate it to the legends of our favourite TV show. You can get that in your ears over at type40.podbean.com or across all major podcatchers, and there's a video edition of the show too here on the YouTube channel. Knock yourselves out with that. Okay, I think it is time to wet one's whistle, get ready for the main event. So have a quick break here. We're going to travel back through time, way back through time, come to think of it, just for a couple of minutes. It's all that way back in time, but it's just a couple of miles, about 3 miles up the road for me personally to BBC.
Are they Venusian miles, Dan, or
for the sake of argument, yes, they could be any kind of miles, but it is just a short distance away from me. If you remember Pebble Mill back in the day, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Take a look at this.
Hello and welcome, and today the friendly old Pebble Mill lobby is suddenly filled with menace. I've got Daleks to the right of me and Cybermen to the left of me and all sorts of monsters filling the place, and I'm definitely in need of a bit of assistance, a bit of help, a bit of intergalactic aid that this program is ever to get in here. So where are you, Doctor Who? Where is the TARDIS? Suddenly there it is. Peter James, where have you been? I've been waiting menaced by all these monsters all this while. Where have you been?
You see, Donny, if you're going to get into trouble during my lunch break, well, it's tough luck, I'm afraid, you know.
But where are you? You've taken eons. I don't like these things. They're rather nasty. Could you get us out of here?
Certainly, hop in.
Right. Okay, off we go. Will you promise to get me back in time to introduce Gail Duff later on?
No trouble, no trouble.
Fine. Okay, let's go.
Hello. Welcome back to Type 40 Live here. Yes, that was BBC Pebble Mill at 1. Do you remember that, Simon?
Is he still there?
No, Simon's not here yet. He's obviously in the toilet. Okay. Sean, you're far too young to remember Pebble Mill at 1, but that was a daytime magazine show there. And now and again, various doctors and companions would drift in and out of the doors. Simon, you worked at Pebble Mill for a little while, didn't you?
I did, actually. Sorry, I was here. I just forgot to unmute myself like Shah did at the beginning. That was just to make Shah feel better. Yes, I do remember Pebble Mill at 1. And it was the show you always used to watch when you had the day off school for being sick. So it just reminds me of feeling sick, like I've got a cold or whatever, because that's what you used to watch. And yeah, I was very, very lucky enough to work at Pebble Mill before it was pulled down. Not for long, but long enough to say I worked at Pebble Mill. So I'm very proud of that. I wear that one.
Yeah. Nice one. You say you should.
Yeah, there we go. I'm having that one. Thank you, Shah.
We're here across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. As always, I've got Simon Horton, we've got Shah, and we have our guest as well, Andrew-Mark Thompson, here with us. at long, long last. He, the artist and the designer and lifelong Doctor Who fan. So yes, your book was finally published. Was it last year that this came out from Telos Books? This is a Fake by Andrew-Mark Thompson, a collection of unreal things based on the popular cult TV series Unnamed. There we can see various Doctor Who bits and bobs scattered across it.
There is an asterisk there. It says based on the popular cult TV series, and the asterisk says cult TV series may vary.
Indeed, it does. I'm reading speak.
Because you are a fan of many things, aren't you? But Doctor Who, is Doctor Who your first love?
It is. It's the thing that's still there after all these years. It's one of those shows. I mean, I'm more interested in. I love television. I like watching television. I like the production of it. To me, Doctor Who is a series. It's a series that's lasted so long. You can watch it from the beginning to the end and watch the history of television drama, the production of it, and everything.
Yeah,
I like watching it as a TV program. I'm not one of those people who tries to connect sees it as a real universe and things. Doctor Who to me is an anthology series disguised as a serial, right? Whatever continuity there is in a story is in that story. It doesn't have to. I prefer them self-contained rather than have long story arcs and things. You know,
I'm sort of halfway. I always describe it as an anthology show, sort of masquerading as a serial as well. I'm not quite with you on the canon and the continuity. I do kind of like it to make a sort of sense and to have a kind of a broader mythos. But I think that could be quite a sensible way to watch it. The more I think about it, Simon.
Yeah,
it does. I mean, there's so much in it that does not make sense. That does not connect.
Yeah. And that's difficult to tie together. You're quite right.
You can't.
And is that aspect of the show something that, rather than something that you live with, something that you actually enjoy?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can see there's certain writers will do silly things with it, which nobody likes, but they sort of end up getting engraved. I mean, Robert Holmes was a notorious one back in the 70s for inserting crazy bits of continuity that didn't fit with things of the past. I mean, the deadliest sin when it went out, the Dwaz, the Doctor Who British Society hated it, came last in their season poll.
Yeah, I know, which I never understood.
Yeah, but it's because of what they did to the Time Lords in it. Changed the whole Time Lord structure and everything. He introduced all these silly things about Time Lords, about 12 regenerations, respiratory bypasses, the TARDIS being isomorphic. What other? There's loads of bits and pieces, and he introduced all these silly things. He makes sort of Chris Chibnall look like a god. You know, but we've learned to accept all these things. I mean, you're watching Pyramids of Mars, and the Doctor gets strangled and suffocated. Then he just wakes up suddenly and says, "Oh, it's okay. Time Lords have a respiratory bypass." You know, it's a bit. I'd never like. This is another thing. I'll be controversial. I do not like Pyramids of Mars. I think
that's fair enough.
Okay, thanks for joining us for Type 40 Live tonight on.
It's a beautifully made. It fools you into thinking that it's better than it actually is, and the script just does not make sense. It really
it doesn't make sense. No, it's totally fair point.
It's made beautifully. You've got some fantastic actors, some fantastic direction. The model work is passable. The music is brilliant in it, right? And there's some terrific sequences in it, but the whole story just does not make sense. And it even uses that underground city with puzzles in it from Death to the Daleks, and Sarah even mentions the fact that it's the same as the Exelon city, and it comes across as just I've run out of ideas in episode 4. that whole sequence with the two mummies.
I'm going to have to stop listening to you, Andy. You're ruining all my story.
Let's let them off the hook there, the Doctor Who creatives from the mid-70s.
Tune in next week for Simon's having a breakdown.
I'm going to need a lie down.
Let's take a look at your ideas, though, because all of this has fueled your creativity for all of this time. Andy, we've got some of your work here on screen. That's just a fraction of your output over the last however long did you say 11, 12 years?
I didn't send you that.
No, you didn't. That's over there on Telos Books. I think that's on. Yes, Telos.
What that is it's the frontispiece and the the endispiece, if there is such a word as an endispiece, to the book.
That's the last thing I did, because they didn't want to put on the frontispiece what I wanted to put on the frontispiece,
which was
I'm not telling you. It's going to end up on there at some point.
Brilliant.
I just cobbled that all together from all the stuff that I didn't use in the.
I love this. I love the Quark Annual 1979. I love the Quark Annual.
Yeah, there's a Nylon Annual there as well.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
So we accept you've been a Doctor Who fan for most of your life, but were you always artistic? Did you always have a leaning towards design and art?
No, not as such. I mean, I at school I did O-level art back when we did O-levels, and I remember I always say this, people are probably bored of it, but my art teacher took one look at my work in the 4th year when I'd chosen the subject as one of my O-level things, and he said, "Oh, brilliant, Andy, you know how to fill the page, you know how to make it big, right? But your artwork always looks unfinished." Right, which isn't the sort of thing to say to a kid.
No,
it really started to put me off art, because my style is I can't draw for toffee, but I can lay things out. It's a sense of how they how stuff.
So you're very much a graphic artist.
Oh yeah. Well, no, not. I don't like the term artist. It's graphic designer.
Okay.
I do get a bit knocked when people call me an artist or call my work art. It's more fiddling around with things and moving.
Well, speaking of somebody, speaking of somebody who's a professional graphic designer myself, that's my trade as well.
Sorry.
That's my trade as well, and has been for 30 years. The distinction that I always make is that there's fine art and there's commercial art. And commercial art has sort of become graphic design. There's that lineage that goes all the way back over the decades. Obviously, commercial art used to be more hand-drawn as well. Now it's more digital, whereas fine art has remained hand-drawn or hand-painted. So the two have sort of parted.
Yeah, there's also the snobbery in this country towards commercial art as art, even down to the fact that the comic strips in this country are not considered proper art. By the art community. You go over to the continent, to Italy, to France, and you'll see the comic artists are being treated as artists,
venerated
in the same way that the traditional artists.
But the thing is, this is where I think you're doing yourself down a little bit, Andy. Because if somebody was to say to me, "What is this book?" I'd say it's an art book. I would call it an art book.
I would too.
And I'm sorry, I hope that doesn't insult you, but I would consider this to be an art book, whether you like it or not.
if you don't like being called that's cool. Yeah.
It's not an art book in so much of the fact that it's one of those TV tie-in books you used to get in the 70s and 80s. The Monty Python Paperbook. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The Goodies File, which the cover is a complete rip-off of. I usually have a copy of the Goodies File somewhere, but it's a similar thing. But it's one of those things whereby you and this takes me back to when I first sort of got the ideas for the book. The idea was to create something similar to one of those Monty Python books with loads of pages, all no storyline, just scattered stuff throughout it. And I thought, I can do that. So many pages and everything. Then it was only sort of about a third of the way through doing it, I realized something very, very important. If you look at those books back in the 70s and 80s, right, you realize that they were written by a team of writers, a team of designers, lots of, there must have been about 20, 30 people on that Monty Python book to start with. And this I all had to do on my own. So
So how long
did it do, Andy? Because it must have taken a long time from start to finish. That it's all you that's done this.
I've been doing it since, as I said, since the 50th anniversary, 10 years, right? I'd say about a third of the book is old stuff adapted into new formats. Things like that how to build your own Dalek. Was something I did quite early on, and I completely redid it. It's the same jokes, but I just laid it out a bit more professional.
I loved this page. I love this page because what I like about this book, and for anybody that is sitting there watching this thinking, what is this book? Basically, as Andy sort of said, this is a book of things that never ever existed for Doctor Who, of which this is one. Now, what I like about this book is that some of the things are just utterly ridiculous, and we will come to those in due course. But there are also things that you think, yeah, why did that never exist? And this, the Build Your Own Dalek, is one of them. How did this part work never come about? Maybe it will one of these days.
It does exist.
They did it eventually, did they?
They did it a few months back. They did a trial of it down south.
Okay.
And they released 3 issues, I think, of it, just to see if it would work. And they've now put it on pause down there, and it's being released. I think it's November. It starts. But this is
basically they had the idea from you.
This is to make a half-size Dalek.
Yeah.
Right. But their Dalek does not have Khaled genetic material in it, which
quite right.
With mine, you get with issue 3. And this is the whole thing about this. This was I was going to pitch this to Big Finish as a story idea of the Daleks coming up with this idea of releasing themselves as a build your own Dalek part work, and over the course of 2 years, so many people in the country will be building Daleks, and then when they're finished and built with issue 222, right, they then sort of invade.
They turn on their owners.
I love the fact that
subscribers.
A government license required for handling and storage of genetic material. I love it. It's
wow.
But that was the idea behind that, right? But it's also it's the things I don't like about modern commercialism. You've got these dreadful part works that come out that build your own Titanic in 2,000 issues, and it ends up if you were to save the money that you were going to spend on the whole thing, you'd be able to afford
absolutely
the Isle of Wight,
the Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa.
It all comes back to the Mona Lisa, doesn't it?
Yeah. But
we've got
the thought behind that one.
Well, we've got several pieces here. You've been very kind enough to send us some sneak peeks at the interior of your bookcase. We've got various images we're going to put up on screen for you to comment on if you wish, as you tell us your story, really. I mean, I'd wondered how long when it came to putting this book together, how long the process took you, whether it was artwork, things you created before, whether it was new material or a bit of both, and whether putting your own book out had been a long-term ambition of yours. Did you ever think this would happen?
I never thought it would happen, for the simple reason I felt that a lot of the stuff that I did was sort of copyrighted. I use a lot of logos and things like that are obviously
registered trademarks.
I did to give you an idea, I did a T-shirt of a fake comic called "When Trekkies Attack," and it was in the Star Trek font. It always gets taken down by Redbubble.
Brilliant.
And that doesn't have any Star Trek elements in it whatsoever.
So, out of interest, was with publishing this book, which, as you say, does have lots of sort of copyright logos and things in there that you've sort of done a version of? How did the legalities of this book work?
2 things. One, it's parody, right? It's not professing to actually be genuine.
I see.
On the front cover are 3 very important words. This is a fake.
Got you.
Right? I'm not trying to say this is a Doctor Who book. This is an officially recognised Doctor Who book or anything like that. We're not saying that.
Brilliant.
Secondly, it's not entirely Doctor Who. About a quarter of it is other TV shows like Crossroads and
Sci-Fi and Steel.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a Doctor Who, but it's a collection. But there's a lot of Doctor Who in there.
Yes.
Do you know what I love? Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was saying this is the Doctor Who first anniversary celebration, and it's a Mickey take of the 1983 Longleat event. except this is a smaller scale one in a garden fete that William Hartnell organises at his local vicarage, and it gets a bit out of hand. As if you go back to the first slide, you'll see the newspaper of what happens in the end, and it's similar to what happened at Longleat, the fact that there were queues and everything. And what's it? But
I see.
But,
so is there a set period of time you give yourself to work on each individual piece, or does it just happen when it happens? And sometimes these things come together quite quickly, other times you might put them away for a couple of days or a couple of weeks even and come back to them, and then all the pieces drop into place.
I tend to work in spurts. I'm one of them people who sits at the computer sort of for hours on end just doing something. If I have an idea and I'm not at the computer, I usually write it in a notebook, some notes, and then come back to it at a later date and try to read my handwriting and do that sort of thing. It's inspiration, to be honest. What one will lead into another. If you look at the book, there's several longer pieces, like the Doctor Who celebration thing. There's also trying to think of another one, the TV CAC, which is a modern sort of TV listings magazine. But things like that, I try to use them to tell a story, and then there's odd pages and things. You know, it's whatever fits in. I mean, Simon will probably know I do a lot of old TV annuals. Do you remember the annuals you used to have at Christmas? And there used to be annuals back in the 70s for everything. There was a Sweeney annual, a Professionals annual, which if you look at the episodes of those TV shows now, they're not kids shows.
No.
It's like having an annual. If we put it forward to the modern day, it's like having a Game of Thrones annual for kids, or I don't know, Law and Order Special Victims Unit annual. You know, we wouldn't have that. But that I did loads of these annuals over the years, and I put them into the book as a page from the K's catalogue.
I've seen the K's catalogue. I love the K's catalogue.
The influences really do stretch back throughout all the decades, don't they? Different mediums.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's another thing. I absolutely hate those things, those adverts you get in the Sunday magazines for collector's items. I mean, Viz do them. You know, I've done them over years, but I'm more minus from Doctor Who base. That's the Cleo Cat Barbara here. Figure. It's basically it's Barbara Wright as an Egyptian cat collectible. From her neck down, that is the newest thing that's available to buy. As a collector's item. I just put her head. It's a bit silly.
It's very eye-catching. It does bear resemblance to Sutekh from the two-part finale of the last season.
I just love this one because it's just so absolutely ridiculous. You know, Barbara Wright as an Egyptian cat. You know, it just couldn't get much more stupid if you tried. And the description that you put in the text, Andy, is so clever because you're right. Yeah. It is one of those Sunday supplements ones, and you've got a few of them in here. I mean, the one that's particularly disturbing is the Patrick Troughton doll, which is you know, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It's like something out of Don't Look Now. It's utterly, there you go, on the right hand side, utterly horrific. Utterly.
Well, that if you look in the top left-hand corner, you'll see the William Hartnell doll. That was the original advert I did, and that has actually caused several nightmares. And
I saw that.
Horrifying thing, the Hartnell one.
That's bloody you.
Horrific as well.
Yeah. There's also to go with that. I did a Photoshop of a factory conveyor belt with all these Patrick Troughton dolls on. You know, it's you do things.
And I have to say one of my absolute favourites is that one on the left, the Wotan War Machine carriage clock. Because again, you kind of think, like, this actually probably would have come out in the 80s. If the War Machines had been out in the 80s, we would have had the Wotan clock.
Well, that's the thing. The war machines, they look like carriage clocks, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Britain being invaded by giant carriage clocks.
I've just noticed that the Troughton baby doll Patrick, that the shorts that a little fella's wearing are the same as the second Doctor's trousers. Very nice.
Oh, well,
And the other
attention to detail. And
talking of attention to detail, Dan, and this is what I love about the book, and this is why these images that we've got up on screen at the moment just don't do the book justice. You have to get the book, because if you notice, bottom left-hand corner there, the telephone number for the Wotan order line is anybody. In fact, I'm not going to say what this is from. Does anybody recognise? I know Andy will know what this is from. Anybody in the chat? Pop in the chat if you recognise what 081 811 8055 is the number for. Because Andy will well know this is ingrained in our memory as children, and we can all recite this in our sleep. This telephone number. Nobody's got it in the chat yet. We'll fill you in a couple of minutes if you don't get it, but somebody will know what.
I remember before mobile phones.
Bless you. Matthew Darren Bradley was first. Matthew Butterfield's right as well.
Before we all had phones in our pockets or our bags or whatever. If you ever got lost anywhere, you'd have like 10p in a little purse or a wallet, or in your satchel or something to make a phone call.
Yeah.
But of course, the only phone number that you would ever know was your own phone number of your mum or your dad or something like that. So imagine if you were out lost and you used your 10p to ring your mum or dad and they weren't in. Who else would you ring? The only other phone number that I ever knew off heart was 081 811 8055. The only other person that I could have contacted in the case of an emergency was Noel Edmonds, Simon.
Quite right. Shah, this was a Saturday morning show called Swap Shop. You must have heard of Swap Shop.
I've heard of Swap Shop, yeah.
Go.
Sorry, just one of here because we're talking about the chat. Sincere apologies for my typing. My mic has been uber sensitive, so it's picking up everything. Even Simon was saying I can hear your phone.
Don't worry about it.
Vibrating.
Sounds lovely now.
Well,
yeah, if you have your mic on the same surface as a keyboard or anything else, they're mega sensitive. They can always pick them up.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same place it always is.
Don't worry.
Brooks up. Sorry.
Don't worry. We can just hear your lovely dulcet tones now, so it's all good.
A quick show rather than calling me annoying, but thank you.
Multiple swap shops here in the live chat. Lots of people recognise that phone number. And when you put little nuggets in like that, Andy, I mean, you obviously bank on us knowing and clocking them and recognising them. But I suppose as well, over the years, books like this, people can go back to them, just like the Goodies book. I've got the Goodies book and the Young Ones book, and you go back to them over the years and you notice different things every time. Is that something you'd hope for with your book as well?
No. The reason you're using that telephone number, as you know, if you make a TV show or film in the States, all phone numbers begin 555.
Yes.
Because that is not used as a code in the States.
Correct.
Everything is 555. In this country, there are a bit more, there's collections of numbers that are available to use. And I don't know any of them. And basically that number, the swap shop number, is the only number I could think of off the top of my head which isn't used anymore. If you were to phone that number, it's just not used anymore. So it's a useful thing. Every time I need a number, I will use that. It's like
we'll
George
just pause
Lucas,
now while people test that out.
Yeah, we should be phoning. I definitely want to phone them. The BBC missing a trick there. They should have a recording from Noel Edmonds on the other end of the line. These two, Andy, are two of my absolute favourites.
Wonderful.
The Alva Centauri push-up lolly, which is just, rich, tasty banana ice cream lolly topped with a lime water ice egg with a red jelly centre. I mean, it is literally like nothing on earth. On a
hot day like this, I fancy I could go both of those all at once, I think.
We all need an Alva Centauri push. But my favourite, was the Sea Devils, because it's seaweed flavour water ice with prawn flavour ice cream in a crispy batter shell. I chortled myself silly while I was reading this book, and I found that one.
I just like the idea of savoury ice creams.
What would you have? Sunday roast.
Well, Heston Blumenthal did egg and bacon ice cream, didn't he?
What?
Wow.
Crackers. And I love the comment from John Pertwee, "Madam, what flavour is this?" Because you can imagine John Pertwee saying that.
Yes.
I love that one.
I think that one of those I think some of those ended up on the screen at the British Film Institute when they did the Sea Devils screening last year.
What? Because the artwork from top right of John Pertwee is the Third Doctor. That is the kind of, what makes this so brilliant is that they're totally believable. The artwork is the kind of artwork that we were having back in the day. Did you find it difficult to sort of ape the artwork? Did you have to sort of go back to sources, or is all this from your memory that you remember this is how they used to look?
Sometimes I will look at an original advert and see how it's just to get the feel of it, right? But a lot of it is just making it, make it look believable. But that shot of Pertwee on the right hand one, the Sea Devil one, that's a piece of artwork off a chocolate bar.
Yes, I remember.
I'll cut it out and adjust everything. You'll see in there somewhere. I put a car racing set with a picture of Pertwee on it, right? And I distorted his face to make it look as little like him as possible. You've got to change things to make them look a bit more. Change them, but not enough for them not to be recognisable.
Yeah,
that's my drift. There was always that sort of artwork, that painted artwork of characters, and sometimes it looked like them, sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
Characters
it's a great
gadgets.
style. I'm a big fan of it. Although I'm a massive fan of Fab Ice Lollies, and I will never be able to look at one in the same way again.
Do they still make Fab Ice Lollies? They should do.
They do.
They do. Do they still make Green Shield stamps? That's what I want to know.
Green Death stamps.
These are so clever. The Green Death stamps with maggots.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration? I mean, obviously, what was the inspiration behind these? But for anybody that doesn't know what Green Shield stamps were, tell us all.
Well, Green Shield stamps you used to collect when you were at certain stores. You'd get sort of, one stamp for every 5 pence.
They were the loyalty card of the day, weren't they?
Yeah, and you had a completed book would be worth about 50p or something silly.
Yeah.
Or you could use, say, 20 books would buy you a cheese grater. From a catalogue. That's all those. That is. There's no actual. The joke is in the fact that they're just green death.
Correct. Yeah, it had to be done. And again, we've got this Keller machine tease made on the left hand side there, which I just love, because everybody in the 70s and 80s, if you were anybody, you had a tease made. Well, and again, it's just so clever, Andy, to think of the Keller machine as a tease made, because when you look at it, it looks like a tease made.
Throw back to 1971 when I was first watching Doctor Who. That's what I thought it was. It looked like a team made. There's certain teams made that.
So actually, some of these jokes, for want of a better word, you've been sort of formulating for decades in a way.
Yeah. All those Colin Baker jigsaws. Do you remember the Peter Davison ones that came?
I do.
They were awful, weren't they?
They were.
Pictures. This is basically what happens when you try to release product before the series debuts.
Yes.
So they've got all these rubbishy photos.
Yes. I saw this, and again, I just chortled, because I remember the bottom right one there of Mestor just sort of slumped, and the top one of the space cadet whose name I can't even remember. They're just such bland photos. But you're right, they are, and the one of the mashup of Colin Baker and the Ron Daleks on the left hand side there. Again, these are just the kind of photos that did appear on just tatty merchandise. But I mean, even back as far as the John Pertwee and Tom Baker days, they had equally dull photos on jigsaws for some reason.
All of this stuff does tickle me. I mean, particularly the audio stuff there from Inaudible. The idea that you would get, because obviously BBC Audio now are turning titles that you would never have imagined into audiobooks.
Yes.
So the idea that they could go the extra mile there and turn the crossword book, the Doctor Who crossword book and the pattern book and the cookbook into audiobooks.
And the colouring book.
Very funny, very silly, and probably going to be released in a couple of years' time.
The gag is at the end when you get you've got all 6 of them, but the 6th book there is the Japanese novelization translation of Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Yes.
It's been
great bloody battle in time and space.
They've translated it back into English.
Yeah.
And George Takei's reading it.
Indeed, of course, George Takei's reading it. Who else would be reading it?
Yeah.
And again, it is just the attention to detail of the, as Dan says, the inaudible logo at the bottom there, which give these such a sort of sense of legitimacy and believability. These aren't. I mean, you will remember this, Andy, back in the sort of the late 70s. Well, certainly through the 80s, the fanzines, lots of fanzines would do this kind of stuff, but they would not be done clearly with the kind of degree of care and attention you've done these, and the accuracy that you've given these. And so, as I say, it's the legitimacy that it lends these and the believability of them. Yeah. You can imagine that this advert would be out in Doctor Who magazine.
But isn't that the case with everything in fandom now? Isn't that the case with everything in fandom now? Cosplaying is incredible now. You look at some of the a Cyberman costume you see now, they're perfect. In some cases, the Daleks people make are better than the ones on the BBC.
On the TV, yeah.
So what we're saying is it's become more sophisticated. Fandom has become.
The tools are there for you to do anything.
Yes.
Any fan can, if a fan doesn't like the series, right, they can just ignore it and go and make their own now.
Well, and also,
I just want to say that Shaw gasped there at the fantastic fact that's up on screen from Darren Bradley in the live chat on YouTube. Do you want to read that out, Shaw, and tell me why you gasped?
Yeah, sorry. The original Fab Ice Lolly was launched with Lady Penelope, Ice Lolly for girls, hence the FAB Thunderbirds call sign. I love because I think my granddad's got something like that.
Wow.
In his house somewhere, or something to that effect. And when Thunderbirds, the live action film, came out, that was redone in a way.
Wow.
This dog, honestly, sorry.
Is that why Fab Ice Lollies are fab? Because of FAB from Thunderbirds? Is that why they're Fab Lollies, I wonder? Or did they just tie them in?
It was.
I'll find that out and let you know.
It was.
Go on, Andy.
It was actually the Fab Ice Lolly's 50th birthday a few years back, and they released a special edition birthday cake flavour.
Brilliant! I want one of those.
This is very nice. It is now no longer the Ice Lolly especially for girls.
I should think not to.
The very idea. Everybody loves a Fab, don't they? Everybody loves a Fab.
That's what Lady Penelope says in the advert. The only Ice Lolly is especially for girls.
I beg to differ, Lady Penelope.
So do I.
I love a Solero, me.
Darren goes on to add, I miss the days of tie-in Ice Lollies. Anything from Space 1999. Something else there. Oh, the $6 Million Man. The Hulk. Most including free collectible cards inside. I don't remember any of those particular tie-ins, but they were still doing those when I was a kid, definitely. And Stephen confirms that, Shaw.
My Alpha Centauri Ice Lolly has free Vegetables of the UK picture cards.
Indeed it does. Of course it does. What else would it have?
Vegetables of the UK. Some things that I did collect. One of the earliest collectibles, in fact, that I managed to get my hands on as a young fan, trying to snap up everything Doctor Who at a time when there wasn't a great deal, certainly no Sonics, was the Doctor Who Discovers book line from Target Books. But there were only a handful. They made less than 10. They never got into double figures, did they?
No.
You have added to this with a book that I never knew I needed. Doctor Who Discovers Eurovision.
And this never even made the book, did it?
No.
My God, that is incredible.
This should have made the book, because you're right, Shah. This is just, I love this one.
One of the things I wanted to do with the book was to have sort of things that lasted over 5 or 6 pages, right? And I was going to do I wrote part of this thing, and it would have been a story.
Right, okay.
You remember the Discovers books that it's Tom Baker taking you on a tour of pre-historic animals or whatever, right? This was the Doctor taking a tour of Eurovision.
Quite right.
It starts off with the Doctor turning up to watch. He's filling in for the lead singer of the Sex Pistols.
Of course he is.
A mate of his, and he decides he's so dissatisfied with modern music. This is music in 1970 that he wants to go back and discover Eurovision. So he visits his friend Katie Boyle and takes her and with him. You can see them in the TARDIS there.
Yeah.
Right? there's a picture of them there in the TARDIS, Katie Boyle and Cliff Richards, and below that you can see Tom Baker actually performing with Johnny Rotten.
And you can actually believe that Tom Baker would be performing with the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
There's no other bands that he would perform with.
I'll be honest, it was taking too long to write. You know, when you're writing something like that, you've got to be focused on it, right? And I think I wrote it up to the point that he turns up at Katie Boyle's house.
And ran out of steam, basically.
It's there though. I'm pleased with the cover of that. The cover.
I do love the artwork. Was there a reason? I mean, the artwork alone of the cover, as you say, is brilliant. My favourite, Verka Shaduska, there, bottom of the frame. I mean, this could have at least gone in the book as the cover, couldn't it?
I've no idea who those people are. I just tried to do this is another thing. I know nothing about Eurovision.
Well, you cover it well. Because I say the people that
did make me laugh.
Are the people that anybody would pick to put on a Eurovision Doctor Who Discovers book.
Yeah.
The most extravagant thing I think you've contributed to this book is probably this: the Doctor Who road chase, completely bonkers electric speedway. This ties in, doesn't it, to Planet of the Spiders and that kind of era, that mentality of that story.
And Tracy Island. It's because of Doctor Who's version of Tracy Island in a way, isn't it? This didn't make the book, did it? Incredibly, this didn't make the book.
Do you know why it didn't make the book?
Go on.
I forgot.
That's a really interesting story.
It seems like so much work that went into this one in particular.
But it gives you a reason. It gives you an idea of how good the book is. When this stuff didn't make it, you realise how good the book is.
Do you remember I was on about altering the artwork? If you look at the John Pertwee there, that's the same John Pertwee from the other piece of artwork, but I've shifted his face around a bit so he looks a bit odd. If you look carefully,
he does look a bit skew-if.
Yeah.
I get it.
I've just spotted Unit HQ in the top left of the board game there.
The actual race set that it is I think it's a James Bond race set originally.
Monaco, somewhere like that.
That's the sort of thought behind it, isn't it? Sort of a Scalextrics set. It's great. As I say, the quality of this just gives you an idea. If this was left out of the book, you realise the other good stuff that's in there. I'm just looking. I don't even know how many pages there are in the book because they're not numbered. Doesn't matter. There's a lot. How many?
126.
126. Everyone is in full colour. I mean, this book is just. I had so much fun flicking through this book, and as Dan says, it is the kind of book that you just pick up and you just keep spotting new things in it. I mean, one of my absolute favourite double-page spreads that you've got in here is where you did sort of you've done VHS covers for season 12 for Revenge of the Cybermen, for The Ark in Space, for Genesis of the Daleks, and you've done these brilliant sort of VHS exploitation covers from the 80s.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so of course Genesis of the Daleks you've called Nazi Experiment Bunker because these are kind of the sort of video nasties that we were watching. There we go. That we were watching back in the 80s.
They're playing on the video nasties in the States. These are American videotapes, right? Where they've never heard of Doctor Who, so they've edited the episodes together and given them these names. You've got Cyborg Terminators, which is Revenge of the Cybermen. You've got Alien Penetration, which is The Ark in Space.
Of course it is.
And then the one on the bottom left is, I think it's Spanish or Italian. I know I ended up using two different languages on the cover until somebody pointed it out to me.
Yeah, I can't.
I would never have known, but I do recognise
it's very clever. I love the as you can see the strap line there for Alien Penetration, i.e. The Ark in Space is in space. No one can let you sleep. This is clever stuff, Andy. This is the text is as good as the artwork in this book. I think it's really clever design work, but it's clever wordplay as well that you've come up with here. It's just fun stuff.
Stuart fell in. Yeah.
He plays the title part, doesn't he? He's the alien.
Indeed, he is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're obviously a big fan of cinema as well, generally, or a certain kind of cinema, monster movies and things like that.
Yeah, I mean Godzilla and stuff. You know, things
Yeah.
like that. Hoary old 50s and 60s
Exploitation stuff in a way.
No, not exploitation stuff. I don't like horror films.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely hate horror films. To me, a horror film is scary, not gory. But there's certain sci-fi films of the 50s and 60s which I absolutely adore. I recently did a poster for a Godzilla season of the original Japanese films for the local cinema here, Quad, where we have Hooverville. But next Saturday, they're showing 4 of the original Godzilla, and they allowed me to do a poster for it, which I'm so pleased at doing. It's actually on my wall now, and I was so pleased with it. I did them one in Japanese as well. So you know, it's things like that. I like doing stuff like that.
Do you enjoy the research as well, or is that something? Is that sort of a necessary evil?
It's not research when you enjoy it.
Yeah,
you enjoy it anyway. I know the Godzilla films intimately. I did a Quentin Tarantino season for them as well, and I know those films, and I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like. It's got to have that sort of grindhouse, old theatre look to it, that sort of thing. And there was a Batman one I did as well. They showed 4 Batman films in one day, one of which was Batman '66, the Adam West film. And I found a perfect picture of Adam West that I managed to put into it off a TV guide cover, and it looks daft as a brush. I'd love to be able to show it you, but I haven't got a copy of it.
It sounds fabulous.
You know.
Yes, so I think people have been very, very teased by our peek inside the pages of This Is a Fake and all the stuff that didn't make into it there. So where can people get this from? It's available to order from telos.co.uk. So it's still available. It's not sold out, because obviously a lot of these books, they do sell out, don't they? And then you've got to wait for the second printing or the third printing or the fourth printing. It's still available.
This is the second printing. We sold out before it was published.
Wow.
Congratulations.
David Howe, being the lovely person that he is, he actually he got them the copies in and actually started sending them out before it was published, and people managed to get it, you know, early. And by the time we launched it at last year's Hooverville, we were into the second printing. So
wow. And that was it was at Hooverville that I picked it up at. It's a crack. As I say, it's just a cracking book, and it is still available in hardback.
Yes, if you purchased it originally from the website, you actually got free this, which is do you remember those PG Tips cards?
Yes.
Yeah. You've got a book of PG Tips cards, which I reluctantly ended up doing. It was originally going to be a page in the book, these PG Tips cards called Enemies of the Solar System, and it was based on what was it?
Dalek's Master Plan.
Yeah, and it was all the you could have them all as picture cards and cigarette cards. But I ended up doing a complete set of them, 36, and they're all in this. I actually got my set, and I've actually stuck them into the book. So you got that, and I'm really pleased with that. It's just a pity that there was so few of them.
Yeah, I was not lucky enough to get one. I got one. I've got my copy of This Is a Fake, but wasn't lucky enough to get.
You will actually at Hoover, if you're at Hooverville this year, you'll be able to purchase the cigarette cards as key rings.
Brilliant.
36 to collect.
And I'm assuming if Telos books are there at Hooverville again, people will be able to pick up a copy of this. I'm assuming.
Oh yes, they will be able to. You can buy it. Yes, you can buy it from in this country. You can buy it from Telos.
Yeah.
They do have agents in other countries, Australia and the United States. It's also available on Amazon as well.
But if possible, go and buy them from Telos Books, because that's where those are the guys that publish it. And as you say, David Howe is a true gent, and he's a friend of fandom. Everybody loves David Howe, so let's go and support Telos. I would say.
Want to have his babies.
There'll be links to all of that in the description to the video, as well as Andy's Redbubble store as well. So all of these things that maybe have tickled your fancy.
Can I just this caption I've done, right? It's one of those captions you used to get at the end of BBC programs.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember? And you might like to know that a book based on This Is a Fake is available now from allgoodtellos.co.uk.
Very good.
That's what it was supposed to be.
And this is the first book that you've written, isn't it, Andy?
I think it is, yeah.
You don't remember writing another one?
I did so many fanzines in the 80s, they all come back to haunt me, you know, and I wish I'd not done them, you know. There's the Target book that David J. Howe wrote.
Yeah, remember it well.
With the Target books. I'm quoted in there from my review of Terence Dix as The Crotons, saying that it was just a run-of-the-mill dull book. And I thought, oh my God.
Oh, things you wish you hadn't said.
Yeah. I'm a lot more, I'm not as crabby as I am like that. I would never put anything down like that. Unless it was Pyramids of Mars, of course.
Or Earthshock. But you must be very, very proud of this, with your name on in a beautiful hardback edition. You must be chuffed with this.
When it arrived, I got my author's copies arrived. They were in a very heavy box. Well, I say heavy. There was only 6 of them. A bit stingy, I thought.
It's a heavy old book.
But it was. I ended up with 6. They were all marked for people, and to open it and see all the stuff looking really good, because I worry a lot. I have anxiety issues, and I was thinking, I've never done a book before. I've never designed a book, and have I done all the bleed on the pages right? Have I done this, that, and the other? I followed all the instructions they gave me. Will it work? Will it won't? You know. And it worked. There's nothing in there, I don't think, that gets lost in the gutter of the pages. You know, the double-page spreads.
No, it's perfect.
It is an exact science, Andy. Having put together several myself, I can attest to that. It really does take a lot of getting used to. We've got several satisfied customers though in the live chat, I'm happy to say, including Darren Wilshaw, who says, I have Andrew's book with the free PG Tips style album. Absolutely love it. Great work. Thumbs up. So yeah, look at his little face. Look, he's thrilled. He's thrilled. Dougie Stewart says it's available from all good bookshops. It is. So you can get it in your life over at Telos there, the Telos website. All the links will be in the description to the video as well, so you can head right over there and pick it up and keep an eye as well on Telos for all the other titles and various things that are coming, things that are in there. Obviously, second print things do sell out, but keep it bookmarked and you're sure to get your copy in due course. Andrew's hugging his bagpuss very, very tightly there.
Bagpuss has congratulated me as well.
Quite right too.
Of course, you know, all these pastiches, all these things that are done to amuse and to sort of recapture childhoods and fire imaginations as well and inspire creativity. I think that Doctor Who creatives would definitely approve. This is a fiercely creative fan base, and batons get passed all the time, don't they, Simon? So I think that generally speaking, this kind of title is very much in the spirit of Doctor Who. It's very, very British, very quirky, and it sounds like a fantastic read that people can return to over and over again. Thank you so much for allowing us to share some of this artwork there, and including all the stuff, the little bits and bobs that didn't make it. Let's head over to the live chat and see what everybody else is saying as well.
Say something nice, otherwise I'll destroy the universe if you don't watch Type 40.
Oh yes, almost forgot. This time before we leave, the TARDIS door is ever so slightly still open. This is the bit in the show where we take a moment to look across the never-ending shelves of Doctor Who knickknacks and curiosities that have assembled and gathered dust or rust over the last 6 decades plus. It's our curiosity corner, everybody, and Okay, the heat spell has absolutely hit. I'm amazed that so many people are watching us there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Maybe we're in a few beer gardens. I don't entirely know. I'd like, because it is very much industrial fortnight, as it used to be called, isn't it, Simon? People are off on holiday. They're up the A roads and the B roads and pitching their tents. They're camping, they're glamping, doing all of that stuff, dodging the cowpats. And it did bring me to mind of this. So last week we had a quick look at this mystery console room from Doctor Who's past. And Simon, you very quickly identified this as the interior of the TARDIS tent from the early 80s, didn't you? And I thought this was a hell of a curiosity because as a child, I always wanted one of these because you couldn't get very much Doctor Who merchandise, but I did want my very own TARDIS. And this is the full-length item there, which, yes, I'd still buy one of these if I saw it for the right price.
Would you actually? Because they do still exist.
Do they? I'm surprised they haven't all spontaneously combusted or melted.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony of it is, again, this is the kind of thing that could well have appeared in Andy's book, and we would have chortled that. But they really did produce them in the 80s. They really, really did.
They did. They stank.
I never saw one. I never saw one in real life, Andy.
I saw one, and they stink. You know that PVC smell.
Yeah.
Outside, they needed to be aired for several.
I have a horrible feeling they were probably not flameproof. So the little types that were in there fagging away, and they probably just went, "Oh."
Were they like, you know, when you've got a cagoule and you get caught out in the rain when you're a kid, and your mum would get your cagoule and whack it in a plastic bag and then leave it in the porch and forget about it until the next time it rained, you'd get it out of the bag and it would say, it really
was soaking wet.
Right.
Yeah. I quite like what I like about this, and I've never seen a photo of the back of one of these before. But I'm realizing now that window you would have imagined that was the scanner screen, wouldn't you? That would be
I'd say
the scanner screen in the console room. I love it. Just love it.
So these they stood at 5 foot tall, and it had a clear plastic window, an inflatable TARDIS light, and inside there was a TARDIS control panel as well. The console itself,
I remember
in all its plastic
cheap.
Glory.
They were really quite expensive. I remember that.
The write-up there described it as surprisingly spacious. Would you?
It definitely wasn't bigger on the inside than on the outside. That's for sure. Looking at it,
one of my non-Doctor Who things, I did a Tenko tent.
Oh, what? What do you mean you did a Tenko tent?
Tenko Wendy House. That was
what?
Oh, I see.
I did that a few years ago.
Tenko was for the people who don't know, for the younger ones or the people overseas. Tenko was a drama show about women who were being held in a concentration camp.
It was very dark.
Yeah, it's very dark. The joke was very dark. And
I bet it was.
You surprised me. But look at these adorable kids there, these shorty Shaw. Yeah. We've got a mini Tegan, a little Nissa, and a portable Peter Davison too.
I would love to know where those kids are now.
I want to know what the costumes are. Who made the costumes? I mean, those were really good costumes.
Yeah. They're good, aren't they?
They're
like the guys that were in the Doctor Who pattern book. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, they keep popping up on Twitter, don't they? The photographs of those poor adults wearing those costumes.
Yes, we do dive on that bandwagon and take the piss out of those kids. Celebrate their contribution to Doctor Who all the time. If you are one of the children who featured on the box to the Playhouse Doctor Who TARDIS tent here from 1982, 83-ish, get in touch with us here at Type 40. We'd love to hear your story about an afternoon spent here shooting this. It looks like the set of Time Lash that they're actually stood on to have this shot. Come to think of it, looking at it now,
it's too expensive looking.
Yeah. So there we are. Have we got anybody in the live chat there who owned one of these? That's what I want to know, because not only am I still jealous, but I'd probably be interested in buying it off you.
This would probably cost as much as the Mona Lisa to buy one of these, because they're like gold dust.
I'd say so. Would be great for Kendall Calling next year. That tent, says Dougie Stewart. Kendall Calling is a festival, I believe. It's not a woman. It's not. It's not his poem.
Hello. Imagine taking that to Glastonbury.
Can you imagine, Shah?
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You can be Nissa and I'll be Tegan.
That's fine by me.
Babette Bombshell says you can almost smell the PVC. You can indeed, as well as the memories there of Doctor Who times past, and the things that, yes, poor Dan Hadley, aged about 6, just never got from Santa. Never mind.
That's where your life went wrong, mate. It was downhill all the way.
There's plenty of room for more shelving, of course, here in the TARDIS. So if there's any Doctor Who knick-knack and curiosity you'd like us to have a rummage around for and celebrate here on Type 40 Live on a future edition of the show, give us a tip. You can do that through our social media. That's on Instagram and X, as always, at Type 40 Doctor Who with your suggestions, or you can even submit your own as well, little things that you've had buried away there for a little while. Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, or you can plaster them across the walls of the Type 40 Facebook group. It's all kicking off in there still. All those arguments between the classic series fans and the new series fans. Never mind the people who are still, they're still chewing their way through Ncuti Gatwa's debut season there, all new Doctor Who from earlier this year. Maybe they've got their Blu-rays and DVDs or steelbooks coming. 60 quid for a Blu-ray. My God. Still smarts. But yeah, everybody's welcome to share their views and to drop us their shelf porn as well in the Type 40 Facebook group. One more shout for this. So Andy's book there, This Is a Fake from Telos Books. A collection of unreal things by Andrew-Mark Thompson. That's still available. There'll be links in the description and the show notes as ever. And we are getting closer, aren't we, to Hooverville 15. That's coming in a matter of weeks. Are you ready, Andy? Is it all sorted? You confident?
What? What's that? Yeah, sorry.
You remember. You help organise it. Come on, Andy.
No, it's not me.
Nothing to do with you.
No, yeah, all right. Yeah, we're getting there. There's going to be. I'll reveal exclusively now. There's going to be another guest announcement this week.
Oh,
woo!
Right, but I'm not saying. I can't say who it is.
Could you give us the initials, maybe?
No.
Could you tell us whether it's male or female, maybe?
You know,
anything? No, because you'll be shot.
I definitely can't give you the initials.
Oh,
I cannot. Right.
Well, maybe it'll be one of the band rules. One of the band rules at last after all this time. That's Hooverville 15 coming to Quad on Saturday, the 31st of August 2024. We're going to see Andy there and Steve there and everybody else. Maybe you two there as well at Quad in Derby.
And,
sold out, by the way. So you can't buy any tickets. You're plugging it, but it is sold out.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that if you want more from us, there's our playlists up here on the channel. Previous live streams of Type 40 Live. There's our deep dive reviews of all new stories. Within an hour of them finishing on the TV, we were there talking about the season finale and that brand new version of the story that Andy loves so much, Pyramids of Mars. We did that. There was our deep dive review of Robots of Death, and of course the regular shows as well, where we pick through the news and all things happening in the Whoniverse in next to real time. So yeah, knock yourself out and hit up those playlists. And it's been fabulous to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking.
It's been a pleasure, Andy.
Yes. Can I have the money in cash, please?
Yeah, absolutely. The check's in the post, mate.
Check? No, it's got to be cash.
Oh, you want banks? You want back? Oh, cash! Oh, cash!
Cash,
Don't tell the HMRC man.
Yeah.
Cash only.
Yeah.
Cash
Is
only.
there,
Okay.
Listen, Andy. Final question: is there another book on the way from you at any point? Do we think?
I don't know. Ask David.
Okay, well, ask him at Hooverville.
We have been meaning to get him on.
David. Yeah. It'll probably be a couple of years if
Okay.
I do another one.
Be worth the wait.
You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first. I had the cookbook, The Kipper of Traken.
I
says
remember
Babette Bombshell.
The Kipper of Traken. Maybe that's your idea for a book, Andy. You know, the cookbook version 2.
No. Never repeat
Break it to us gently.
Never repeat a joke.
Fair point.
Yeah, but we just keep repeating the same old gags twice a week, every week here at Type 40 Live. Join us for the next show across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Of course, more hot takes, pet peeves, rants, and raves next time here at Type 40 Live. No Doctor Who. No Doctor Who on the telly. Yeah. Who needs it? We'll be as lively as ever throughout the rest of 2024 with jamming the Sonic there in the lock and putting it on pause for a few days. Shah, thanks for coming on. It's great to catch up with you again. It's been a couple of weeks and there'll be more coming, no doubt, next week. But what have you got planned for the rest of the week that you can speak of? Anything to look forward to?
Oh Christ! Not necessarily. It's just been full of heat, work.
Get the fan on.
But yeah, exactly. But I'm way down to London tomorrow, so that should be quite nice.
Fantastic stuff. Safe trip and enjoy yourself, and we'll hear all about it. Unless you're in the red light district, of course. We'll hear all about it when you get back, no doubt. Simon, brilliant, as always, to have your company. More Type 40 Live, of course, in a couple of days. We're going to run around the TARDIS console room until then. There's plenty of room. But do you want to tease them about what's coming on Thursday? We've got the diary, haven't we? We've got a diary coming for them.
We have got another diary, and we're going to be talking about a classic Doctor Who episode that might be in black and white. Can't tell you any more than that.
Can't wait. Thanks again to everybody out there watching on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, and our guest here, Andrew-Mark Thompson, for your company. And yes, hope to have you back at some point in the future, maybe. But that's it for another show. We'll see you at Hooverville. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live, and we'll be back in a couple of days with more. Speak to you all again soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.